Okay, our session for today is entitled The Teacher as a Person in the Society. Okay, like what I've mentioned last week, okay, the teaching profession will help you realize what teaching and teaching profession are. Okay, these are two different aspects. Okay, and I've also mentioned that teaching is not simply being inside a classroom. It's not simply being in front of your learners teaching. It involves a lot of things. So we have a lot of factors to consider. That's why this one is entitled The Teacher as a Person in the Society. So what are we, okay, in the view or through the lenses of the people that surround us? Ano nga ba ang tingin nila sa mga teachers? Ano nga ba ang mga gampanin ng teachers sa palagay ng ibang tao? Now, do you think it's very important for you to know how people around us view our profession and view, okay, us as teachers? Ira.
Yes po, sir.
Why? Why is it important for us to know how they view us?
Kasi po, sir, parang tayo na rin talaga yung pinagsimulan ng mga successful na tao ngayon. Kasi kung walang teacher, walang mga ibang profession po. Kaya
Can we not
parang
perform our duty
hindi
like
parang
yung ganyan?
important.
Can we not perform our duty like if we make them successful, then we perform that duty? But why do we need to know about their perceptions? Bakit kailangan nating malaman yung tingin nila sa atin? Why is it important? Bakit hindi na lang wala
Kasi po,
tayong pakialam, ganun?
Kasi po, syempre, para makapag-adjust ka rin po sa mga
Okay,
kulang.
exactly. Parang
Siguro ganun as a teacher.
That's correct, Ira. It's about adjustment. So we would know how to adjust. Like if you are like this one, pwede bang yung buong ikaw, yung ipipresent mo? No. There are some things that we need to control, some things that we need to limit. Kahit na tayo yun, that even if it's our habit. Okay, hindi pwede na ito yung ugali mo, ito yun, tanggapin yun. No. As teachers, like what you are saying, we should set as a good role model because we are teachers. We are teaching lessons. We are making them learn. So how will they believe us if we ourselves do not know how to follow? Okay, we set again a good example. So that's correct, Ira, for us to know how to adjust. Okay, this will be our session objectives. First, to summarize at least 5 philosophies of education and draw their implications to teaching and learning. So later we will define what do we mean by a philosophy. So again, a philosophy, I'll give you a glimpse. It's a guiding principle. It's a guide, okay? It makes you realize about things, okay? Second, we are going to formulate your personal philosophy of education. Okay, when I say education, it relates to you as a teacher and the profession. And lastly, we are going to identify and clarify your role as a teacher in relation to social institutions such as family, the school, the church, and the state. In other words, the teacher and the society. So let's find out how these people, how these institutions view teaching, teacher, and the teaching profession. So this will be our session outline. First, we are going to have a discussion about the philosophical foundations of education. Second, we are going to formulate, okay, we are going to work on the steps on how to formulate the philosophies in teaching. So, importante ba to na magkaroon ka ng sariling filosofiya o paniniwala sa pagtuturo? Yes, Ms. Krista?
Yes, sir. Importante po siya. Kasi
what's the effect?
May ano ka, para po may guide ka. Parang yung may goal ka. Ganon, sir.
Okay, you have your goal in mind. It's like a general goal. Na kapag nalilito ka na, you do not know what to do, you do not know what strategy to apply, go back to your philosophy that this is what I want to happen. This is my personal philosophy, and this is what I would like to inject into my strategies. Okay, it's like a guide. So yun yung starting point. Okay, correct. It's the starting point. It's your takeoff. Okay, without a philosophy, malamang you don't have a purpose. Like it's a purpose. Your philosophy will serve as your purpose in teaching. Katulad nilang sa buhay, di ba? If you don't have any purpose, tapos na ang purpose mo. Okay? Wala ka ng gana. You will not be passionate enough to live day by day. But if you have this purpose in mind, this philosophy in mind, you have this reason, okay, to teach day by day. Na kahit napapagod ka na, kaya sa mga punto na like you are exhausted, you feel exhausted, just go back to your philosophy. It will rekindle your passion to teaching. Okay, last is of course about the society and how the society views the teacher. So let's start with the first topic, philosophical foundations of education. So like what I've mentioned, when you say philosophy, it's a guiding principle. It's intended for you to have a purpose, okay? Sa'yo yan, it's your philosophy, it's personal. But what we are going to present today are 5 populars, okay? Popular philosophies in the field of teaching, in the field of education. So yung iba dito nabanggit ko na in other subjects, but it's part of the course. So for us to recap and to review on these philosophies, let us start with this task. It says here, to philosophize or philosophize is so essentially human. And in a sense, to philosophize means living a truly human life. So it means to say, if you have a philosophy, then it makes you human. Walang tao na walang filosofiya sa buhay. Kahit simpleng tao na nabubuhay sa mundo, meron siyang filosofiya, mga paniniwala sa buhay na sinusundan. Okay? Minsan sinasabi, ma-pride ka, bakit ganyan ka, ganito ka? Because we live based on our philosophy. And our philosophies are established based on our experiences and our background. So, unique yan. It's very unique. That makes us unique, our philosophy. Yung mga paniniwala natin sa buhay. And in a sense, to philosophize means living a truly human life. What do we mean by the last clause? In a sense, to philosophize means living a truly human life. Yes, Miss Pineda, our most religious student in this class.
Sorry, sir. Ano ba yung question?
Question is about the last clause. How do you understand the last clause? In a sense, to philosophize, yung magkaroon ng filosofiya, means living a truly human life. I want you to expound on means living a truly human life. That if you have a philosophy, yan daw, it means that you are living a truly human life. So pag wala kang filosofiya, ano yun? Hindi ka tao? Kailangan mo na bang lumiban sa planetang Earth? Maghanap ng sariling planeta? Ganon?
Hindi, sir. Parang yung means, ay philosophize means living a true life. Tama naman po siya, sir, kapag po nabubuhay tayong mga tao, dapat lang na may filosofiya tayo sa buhay. Kagaya po ng sinabi nyo kanina, sir, parang siya yung every time na kunyari, nadadakon ka, parang babalikan mo siya na, ayaw nga pala, may goal ako.
Okay.
So, tuloy ulit. Ganun po.
Okay. So in other words, you have your purpose. May dahilan ka para mabuhay. Okay? You have your direction. So that's correct. Thank you, Ms. Pineda. So these are just 2. I'm presenting only the 2. Later, I'm going to present the 5 major philosophies in education. So iba dito na banggit ko na sa ibang subjects. Okay, if you were present in the other subjects. So we have essentialism. Okay, that is labeled today as the conventional. Sa tingin natin ay conventional. Ang view natin dito ay conventional. And progressivism, which we view as the modern one. Okay, the modern way of teaching. So under essentialism, it posits that curriculum is rigid, consisting of disciplined subjects. So when say rigid and disciplined subjects, like it's standard, walang papalitan sa mga disciplined subjects. Kung yun yung mga subjects na naka-offer, kukunin mo lahat. And when I say it's rigid, it's strict. That's why it's strict. You have to comply. Okay? You have to work for that. Okay? Dito hindi iniisip yung students' interest, students' needs. The teacher, the school will decide kung ano ang dapat para sa iyo. That's the essentialist view. Okay, that was before. Okay, and even at this present, ginagamit pa rin naman itong prinsipyo na to. Like for some instances, for learners who cannot cope with the lesson. Okay? Yung pinagawan mo na activity, you let them discover pero wala pa rin ma-discover. Okay? In that case, you need to take part as a teacher. Doon na pumapasok yung ikaw na yung mag-explain. Ibigay mo na para maintindihan na niya. Okay? Next, under essentialism, learners are viewed the same. Okay, by the way, for essentialism, it's subject-centered. Kaya nga it's about the discipline subjects. While for progressivism, learner-centered. Okay, it's the opposite. It's about students' needs, interests. Okay, it's about what they want. Okay, how they want to learn. Okay, for essentialism, learners are viewed the same common. Pare-pareho ang tingin mo sa kanila. They have the same needs. They have the same interests. That's why you give the same. Walang differentiated instruction. Walang pa-group-group, walang pa-activity, walang may pa-music sa group 1, sa group 2, magpapasayaw ka, sa group 3, magdodrawing sila. Walang ganon. There is no differentiated instruction because you view them as similar. They have common needs. Pare-pareho yung kailangan nila. That's why you will impose or you will deliver something the same, common to all. Unlike under progressivism, it says here that no two persons are alike. So you believe we have, your learners have individual differences. That's why you will use individualized approach. Yung binabanggit natin na kung anong kailangan ng learner letter A, yun yung ibibigay mo. Kung anong kailangan ni letter B, yun yung ibibigay mo. You adjust your strategy based on their needs. That's under progressivism. Next, for essentialism, it aims to fit learner to existing social order, thereby maintain status. Okay, you hold them, you introduce the subject, you introduce the culture, you educate them about life. Okay, at yung tinuturo mo, these are things that are really existing in the society, yung meron na. Okay, because it's subject-centered, kung anong nasa libro, yun yung ituturo mo, ano magiging resulta? Since tinuturo mo kung anong meron na, ang magiging result is, they will be in the society, they will just maintain what is existing. Okay, i-retain lang kung anong meron. Walang mga pagbabago magaganap. Kaya nga ayan, maintain status quo. At least they would survive. That's your view. Pag ganun ang tingin mo, then you are using the essentialist philosophy. Next, for progressivism, it's the other way around. Okay? Teachers stimulate direct learning process for most effective individual instruction of learner. And the methods, I repeat, individualized instruction. Hindi siya yung common instruction. Kaya dito, pabago-bago ka ng strategy to address all the needs of your learners under progressivist approach. Another, for progressivist approach, methods are individual. So, laging binabanggit dito, individual approach, individual spontaneity, okay, because it's learner-centered. Okay? That makes this modern philosophy in teaching different from the conventional one. But I repeat, hindi ibig sabihin na ito ay masama na. Okay, that the traditional one is not good. No. I repeat, there are times, there are instances. Like at present, this still exists. Katulad pag nagpa-paper and pen test sa mga schools, di ba? Pare-pareho naman yung test na binibigay. Okay, they will answer the same question, the same type of question, the same test paper, the same test manuscript. So, pag pareho ang test nila, that's essentialism. But, pag dumating na tayo sa performance task, ayan. Okay, you give them a task, let them perform. Progressivism na yun. Ayan, problem solving and development of creative responsibility because you provide the activity and then you let them work with the activity. That's progressivism. Next, eto. Freedom is an outcome of education, not the means. For essentialism, what do we mean by this? When you say freedom is an outcome, throughout the process, walang freedom yung bata. Ang gagawin lang niya, makikinig. Ang paniniwala ni teacher, yung freedom, nasa dulo. Na kapag natuto na yung bata, doon siya magiging malaya sa buhay. Like, you will be free because you were able to gain knowledge, you were able to gain skills. So when you graduate, ayun daw ang freedom. It will make you free, what you have learned. Baligtad naman sa progressivism. Under progressivism, freedom is not an outcome. Freedom, according to progressivist approach or philosophy, is along the process. Okay? Kaya under progressivism philosophy, or this philosophy, yung mga activities, binibigyan mo na sila ng kalayaan na magtrabaho, like how to learn things using their own way, their own strategy. Ito na yung nag-group sila and then they will work. Hindi mo dinidictate kung paano nila isosolve or how they will produce the output. You provide steps, but in terms of techniques, you let them work. And like dito sa essentialism, lahat, it's dictated by the teacher. Okay? So dito, ang freedom nag-uumpisa na mismo dun sa paaralan. It's not an outcome. It's in the process. Okay? You give enough freedom for learners to explore. Yun yung ibig sabihin nun under progressivist approach. Next, essentialism is authoritative. So it's self-explanatory. It's because it's teacher-centered. So si teacher ang bida. Si teacher lahat. Siya ang masusunod. Okay, but in here, it's not authoritative. It uses life experience approach. So when say life experience, you provide real life problems and then you let them work. You are not in authority na ganito mo isolve yan. Ito mga steps na susundin mo. Una mong gagawin, give them the problem, give them the activity, then let them solve. See how they will work. Kasi minsan nabibigla tayo, may sarili silang paraan kung paano isolve yung mga bagay-bagay. Yun naman yung nadidiscover dito sa progressivism. And like here, kung ano lang sinabi ni teacher, yun lang. Okay? Next, teachers assign lessons and recite lectures. Siguro nakikita nyo pa ito madalas nung nasa elementary or high school kayo. I like this one. Okay, in this case, what we are doing, at some point, nagle-lecture ako. That's essentialist. At some point, tinatanong ko kayo. That is progressivist approach. At yung mga tanong, hindi lang yung mga tanong na recall, no? It's about reasoning. Okay, it relates to problem solving. I will give you a problem, then I will ask for your experience. Okay, like if you were in that position, how will you solve it? Diba? So that's a progressivist approach. So sir, pwede pa lang i-mix ang mga philosophy pag nagturo? Yes. Okay? Pwede yan maghalo-halo when you teach. At minsan, pag gumawa ka ng plan, okay, ano ba ang gamit ng philosophy na yan? Hindi naman sinusulat sa lesson plan. Marireview mo, ito essentialist. Pangalawang activity ko, parang progressivist. Pangatlo, essentialist ulit. Okay, so it's a way for you to assess your own work. Na baka mamaya, puro essentialist approach na pala yung ginamit mo, pero yung mga bata, okay, based on your assessment, gusto nila yung gumagalaw, sila kumikilos, they are independent learners, so mas akma pala yung progressivism. So in that case, you can revise. Paano kung hindi mo alam yung mga philosophies na yan? How will you review? Wala kang basis. Okay, that's the point of studying these philosophies. It's to review our own guiding principle. Yung paniniwala mo ba about teaching is fit with the type of learners that you have, with the type of surrounding or community that you have. Again, first two, we have essentialism and progressivism. Now, we're still on essentialism and progressivism. So I repeat, essentialism, it's book-centered. Again, self-explanatory. You're about the content. Ano ang ituturo ko? Yun yung tanong mo. Hindi yung sino ang tuturuan ko. Okay? Hindi ka learner-centered. It's book-centered, teacher-centered, okay? Discipline-led. Methods are memory work, mastery of facts and skills, and development of abstract intelligence. Ayan. Pa-memorize. Like, I remember nung elementary, yung multiplication table, di ba? Instead of solving, my teacher then instructed me to memorize for me to know, okay, how to answer. It's about memory work, mastery of facts. Ayan yung mga identification, enumeration, paper, pen, test. Okay? And then if it's about skills, meron naman yung sa mga skills. Papagawan ka ng output and then they will check too. So under essentialist. Again, still paper and pen test. So development of abstract intelligence, reasoning. Ayan. Ignores completely social relations and life activities. Niluklok ka, kung umupo ka dun sa upuan mong yon, sa harapan, ng first subject hanggang sa last subject, hanggang matapos ang session, dun ka lang. Okay? If you have seen pictures in Facebook, yung mga klase before, ang tahimik ng bata, nakaupo ng maayos, di ba? Yung pati yung kamay nasa desk, yun, that's essentialist approach. Okay? And like at present, how do you see learners at present, Miss Chico? How do they work inside the classroom? Nakaupo pa rin ba?
Depende po sa teacher kasi minsan nagpapa-activity siya na...
Okay, meron na yung mga activities na gumagalaw, di ba?
Opo.
Nakapanood ka na ba like inside a real classroom?
Hindi po sa
Hindi
ngayon.
pa, okay.
Oo.
So, yun nga, you are correct. Yung assumption mo ay correct. Yung mga activities ngayon, hindi na lang pwedeng paupuin na lang yung bata dyan. Kasi nga learner-centered na tayo, no? It's learner-centered, you make them work, let them roam around. At ang mga bata ngayon, hindi pwedeng paupuin na lang sa isang upuan ng mahabang oras. Maiinip yung mga yan. That's the point. Okay? So that's for progressivism. You let them work, let them explore the classroom. Pero wag naman yung explore na maninira sila. So the activity still should be related to what you are discussing or presenting to them. Okay, so walang social interaction, pero under progressivism, maraming social interaction because they mingle with their peers. Okay, they work with their classmates. So natututunan pa nila yung social skills like communicating. Ayan, makapapansin nyo sa mga group, diba? Pag in-group mo, may nag-aaway, may hindi magkasundo sa task, may si leader maiinis na, ba't di kayo makinig? Okay, kanina pa ako nagsasalita ako, kayo na. That's part of learning, yung mga ganong awayan at bangayan. But then again, you should be there to guide. Pag may problema, if there are conflicts like that, you should be there as a facilitator. What's your work? Pag may mga punto ng ganon, doon ka na pumasok, ayusin mo, resolve the issues, help them resolve the issues. Next, essentialism, standard test, paper pen test. Okay, pero dito sa progressivism, hindi siya standard test. I mean, hindi siya paper pen test na kung anong tinake ni learner A, yun din yung take ni learner B. Dito, measurement of outcome and achievements are devices taking into account consideration the subject matter and personality values depending on what type of personality. So, sir, iba-ibang type of assessment ang ibibigay? Yes. Okay? Dito nagkakaroon yung may performance task, tapos may mag-paper pen test. Okay? Na gine-grade ng pareho. Dati, ang gine-grade lang is paper pen test, yung standard test. Yun yung basis, malaking points. Pero ngayon, hindi na. Performance task, yung pag nagtrabaho na sila, paano nga naman ite-test, no? Ito kasi yung punto ng progressivism. How will you test dancing through paper pen test? Ang tinuro mo dancing, lalo na sa PE, okay, skill yung mga yan, no? These are skills that should manifest. How will you make sure na natutunan yung skill sa paper pen test lang? Memorization lang, kung definition lang ng mga terms. That's simply memorization. Now, if they memorize the terms in physical education, does it mean they are skilled in sports? May na-define niya yung traveling. Ibig sabihin, alam na ba niya kung paano gawin yon or paano malalaman kung traveling nga sa sports, sa basketball. You need to do it. Okay? So that's what we mean by progressivism. And then again, experimental. Constant revision of aims because you need to review the needs of the learners. Pag nabago next year yung needs nila, di baguhin mo rin yung aims mo. Okay? You always start with the learner. Okay, next. Ito na yung 4. So alam nyo na ang essentialism at progressivism. Now let's focus on perennialism and behaviorism. Why teach? Bakit ka magtuturo? Okay? Ang reason mo, dahilan mo kung bakit ka magtuturo, if you are a perennialist, okay, you are using the perennialist approach, is to educate the rational person and to cultivate the intellect. It's about reasoning, abstract intelligence. Okay, that's under perennialism. Okay, under behaviorism, your goal is to modify and to shape students' behavior na gusto mong may mabago sa behavior niya. Again, when say behavior, it's not the attitude only. Okay, this about action. Kunyari, kung hindi siya marunong mag-add ngayon, gusto mo, pagkatapos ng session nyo, marunong na siyang mag-add. That's what we mean by modifying and shaping students' behavior. Okay, how? You provide a favorable environment. You teach. Okay, provide something about addition. Okay, teach something about addition. Yun yung magiging environment niya that day about addition. Of course, puro pang addition na activities ang ibibigay mo. So at the end of the session, okay, ang gusto mo makita if you are following this philosophy, behaviorism, marunong na siyang mag-add. Hanggat di mo nakikita yung pagbabagong yon, hindi ka makokontento. Okay, you want to see a change in behavior. So I repeat, for perennialism, abstract reasoning. That's to educate a rational person. Okay, na-discussin natin to kanina yung essentialism and progressivism. Okay, again, progressivism, social living because they socialize with their peers. Okay, and democratic, they have the freedom. They have the freedom to work. Okay? To work on task. Hindi mo dinidictate. Unlike ito, essentialism, everything is dictated by the teacher. Okay, how to teach based on these philosophies. Under perennialism, teacher helps. Okay, lagyan natin ng S dyan. Ano lang S. Teacher helps students think with reason based on the Socratic method. Alam nyo ba yung Socratic method? Oh, hindi nyo alam. Sasabihin ko na. Yung Socratic method is question and answer method. Okay? At yung estudyante niya na ni Socrates na ang ginawa niya sa bawat tanong ko na masasagot mo, may reward ka. Okay? Syempre, itong tao may reward, sasagutin niya yung tanong. So, sagot. Nagtanong si Socrates, nasagot. Okay, nagustuhan ng bata, may reward kasi. So, araw-araw ganun yung ginawa ni Socrates. Okay? Until such point na wala na siya maibigay na reward, but ang nangyari, itong bata na buhay na rekindle na yung passion niya sa pagkatuto about learning. To such point, sige sir, sa bawat bagay na maituturo mo sa akin, ako naman magbibigay ng reward sa iyo. So you see that by means of simply giving the reward, you were able to rekindle the passion of the child. At nung nalaman niya na yung mga bagay-bagay na yan, naging curious na siya. Nung una ayaw niya, no? Kailangan may reward muna bago matuto. But nung nalaman niya, okay, the moment that child learned about these things, okay, na-curious siya. Kasi nga natutunan niya na, no? Pag natutunan mo na isang bagay, lalo ka ma-curious, lalo mong aalamin. That's the point of Socrates. So that's what we mean by Socratic method, question and answer method of oral exposition or recitation, ayan, Q&A, and explicit or deliberate teaching of traditional values. So I repeat, perennialism is concerned with values formation. Kaya nga abstract reasoning, like how do we treat life, okay? But for behaviorism, how do we teach? Teachers ought to arrange environmental conditions. So, inihahanda mo yung classroom. Inihahanda mo yung mga activities, okay? So, that students can make the responses to stimuli. So, yun yung stimuli. Yung mga activities na pinrepare mo, test na pinrepare mo, they will respond to that. That's behaviorism. Okay, so far, do you have questions? Wala. Okay, good. Essentialism, nabanggitan natin, the teacher is the sole authority. Sa lahat, nagsasalita, all you have to do is to listen. Umupo kayo dyan, makinig lang kayo. Okay? Next, progressivism, knowledge leads to growth and development of lifelong learners who actively learn by doing. Ang emphasis dito is learning by doing. How do you teach? Let them learn by doing. Okay? Let them explore. So hands-on activities, can you provide the activity, then let them work. Next, what to teach based on these philosophies? Ay, natakpan. Okay. Pag magtuturo ka, ano nga ba ang ituturo mo kapag ang ginagamit mo ay perennialism? You will use great books and return to liberal arts. Okay, the basic way of living. So when I say liberal arts, it's about a field that makes you realize about life, how to survive life, to reflect about life. So ito purong madalas ito abstract reasoning. And when I say use of great books, ayan yung mga libro na galing sa mga philosophers, great philosophers and great people. Kung nakapanood na kayo ng Korean series, napapansin niyo yung mga old Korean series na ang tema nila ay yung historical. Mapapansin niyo yung mga pag-aaral nila gumagamit ng napakalalaking libro. Okay, nakakapanood ba kayo ng ganon? Yung lumang I mean yung historical yung tema, hindi yung present day. Kapag ang tema nila is in the past, okay, pansinin nyo, yung mga hari, rina, mga imperyo niyan, meron silang malaking library no, kung saan nakaimbak lahat ng maraming libro. Okay, yun yung perennialism. That's the approach for perennialism. You rely on these books. Na hindi sila printed ng publication. Mano-manong ginawa. Okay? So if you're studying about Socrates, yung mga philosophies niya, Plato, Aristotle, ayan. That's perennialist approach. Reasoning based on their teachings. Next, essentialism. Okay, what to teach? Excellence in education, back to basics. When I say basics, yung kailangan natin sa buhay. Those which are essential to life. At pag sinabing essential to life, those things that will make you survive. Okay? Like yung sa math, ano ba ang mga dapat nating matutunan sa math para mabuhay tayo ng maayos society? The 4 basic operations. Okay? Addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Tapang calculus, sir, bakit may mga ganun pa? Yun naman, it's a way for you to develop your logical reasoning. So that when you make decisions about problems, logical kayong mag-isip. Just like when you solve problems in math, yung may mga pa-equation. Pero ang basic lang na kailangan natin doon is the 4 mathematical operations. And cultural literacy. At yung binanggit natin na status quo, you are just retaining, okay, what is existing in the society because tinuturo mo lang yung kultura ng nakaraan. At pag tinuturo mo yung kultura ng nakaraan, what you are doing is sustaining or preserving the culture. Walang mababago kasi tinuturo mo lang yung nakaraan. So, saan nag-exist yan? I'll give an example. Yung pagtuturo sa Kapampangan language for grades 1 to 3, mother tongue, ayan, it's about cultural literacy yun. Okay? Cultural literacy ang tawag doon. So, essentialist ang approach doon sa programa ng DepEd na yan. Okay? Na pag grades 1 to 3, mother tongue. Okay? Next, progressivism, school reforms, relevant and contextualized curriculum, and humanistic situation. So, when I say contextualize, you base what you teach on the needs of, number 1, the learner, 2, the society. That's why it's contextualized. Na kapag ang nakalagay sa lesson mo ay gumamit ng spinach, sa baryo, wala naman spinach. Anong gagawin? Palitan mo yung spinach. Ano bang katumbas ng spinach sa Pilipinas o kaya sa Pampanga? Tignan mo yung katumbas na object ng spinach dun sa Pilipinas. Kasi hindi naman spinach yung existing dun sa community. Ani nila yan. Wala silang makita. So, mag-innovate ka. Okay? Maghanap ka ng alternative. Okay? I-localize mo, gawin mong indigenized yung material. Okay? So, ano ba ang pwede sa spinach? Parang kangkong yata ang kapalit ng spinach na I'm not sure. Mga ganyan na mga bagay. Minsan, yung sa libro, yung mamahalin na gulay yung ginamit, pero pagdating sa actual performance, ko-contextualize mo, malunggay na yung ginagamit. Okay? Alternative. Kasi yun yung meron dun sa community. And humanistic situation. So when I say humanistic, it's about humanities. Okay, the teaching of humanities. Okay, progressivism. So again, school reforms. Pabago-bago. If you are changing, revising your lesson from time to time, your strategies from time to time, okay, then you are using progressivism. At yung content, nire-review mo. Pag nire-review mo yung content from time to time, napalagay mo, nalaman niya na hindi na to kailangan at present, tatanggalin. Kunyari, before tinuturo ang typewriter, di ba? Typewriter